The results are in for a more than 4-year initiative to reduce gun violence in Ocala, but not in time to stop the first mass shooting of the year.
TV 20's Jordan Markoff explains how law enforcement officials are reacting to the results of the initiative.
This report outlines just how many violent criminals are being held accountable for their actions through a local, state, and federal partnership. Law enforcement officials say they're very pleased with the results.
The efforts of this unified partnership really should be celebrated, as it's been relentless in the pursuit of justice.
The U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Florida announced that between July of 2018 and this past December, the Ocala Division prosecuted 57 firearms cases involving 60 defendants.
Each of them believed that they could commit violent crimes and firearm offenses in Ocala and not be held accountable. As those defendants have now learned, they were wrong.
Handberg says these results prove that effective prosecution results in less violent crime.
So far, of the 60, 49 defendants have been sentenced to a combined total of 388 years in federal prison.
Just one day after this initiative ended, gunfire broke out at a New Year's Day block party, killing 2 people and injuring 4. Now, 1 month later,
They're following up on many leads. Again, a lot of witnesses that were out on scene, but we expect a positive closure on that case in the near future.
Balkin says 5 people who were at that block party were arrested, but on charges unrelated to the shooting. Officials say they are working to get more information about what those individuals know. Reporting in Ocala, Jordan Markoff, TV 20 News.
Multiple